Hello, today we will be showing you the importance of safety while preparing, cooking, and cleaning food. The first task to check before the cooking process can start is to check the equipment you're about to use. For this example, we will be using a stove, crockpot, knife, frying pan, measuring cup, and a spatula. When checking the equipment, look for any damages that could disrupt the cooking process, like scratches on a nonstick pan or a dull knife. That equipment is more dangerous to use and should be replaced or sharpened before use. Then, check the heating element, making sure it is not exposed. Next, make sure you know where your fire extinguisher is and that it is not expired. These steps will ensure an overall safe cooking environment. Step is to check the freshness of any ingredient about to be used in the cooking process. For fruits and vegetables, it is important to check the surface for any blemishes or openings in the food. If stored properly, the food should have minimal marks and a neutral smell. If your produce has a pungent, repelling smell, it may be expired and needs to be thrown in the garbage. Next, check any canned products for making sure there are no large dents or openings in the can. These large dents or openings could allow bacteria to enter the can, which can lead to illness after consumption. Next, check the refrigerated food, looking for any sites of mold growth, pungent smells, or extreme discoloration. If found, discard immediately. Proper cutting technique is easy to learn but difficult to master. Starting with the knife, check it for any damages on the blade and to see if it's bent in any way. Then, check it for sharpness. A dull knife is more dangerous than a sharp knife. Once done checking the knives, you can start cutting your produce. If you are new to cutting, you can purchase a chainmail glove that protects you from cutting yourself on accident. When cutting produce, making uniform cuts helps during the cooking process by ensuring the food cooks evenly. Mise en place is a French phrase that means everything in its place. Once the cooking process starts, very rarely does one have time to cut produce, open cans, or measure other ingredients. This can cause you to either burn your food while preparing other ingredients or may cause injury to yourself because you're rushing to finish your preparations. So, before the cooking process starts, it is important to wash, peel, and cut all produce to the appropriate size, open all cans, and measure the ingredients used in the recipe. This will ensure the cooking process runs safely and efficiently.
Cooking. Now that we've finished discussing the safety features involved with the preparation of the cooking procedure, we may now begin to discuss how one may maintain and encourage a safe environment and practices whilst in the process of cooking. While cooking may be an enjoyable task to most, it is important to realize and understand that it can also be potentially dangerous. There are many factors involved with the cooking process that may pose a danger to those participating. As such, it is important that we follow the proper safety procedures to help reduce and prevent the emergence of potentially dangerous situations. One safety hazard that is synonymous with the cooking process are those related to heat management and control, whether that be over an open flame or other hot surfaces. In this cooking example, the participant uses a crock pot as their main source of heat for cooking. Much like any form of heat, it is important to never, under any circumstances, engage in physical contact with any heated surface. To prevent the incursion of potential burns, one must be conscious to wear the appropriate PPE at all times. In relation to the crock pot used in this example, one must be careful to keep the lid above the pot's opening to prevent spillage of the condensed water onto the kitchen floor. Such an incident may lead to a potential slip hazard and may result in injury. When cooking, it is important that you keep a close watch of your station. By no means should an individual in charge of the cooking process leave their post whilst in the process of cooking. Although cooking may seem to be a laborious task at times, one must never leave the area for any reason other than immediate emergency. Doing so may pose a potential hazard, especially in the event of an unexpected incident. Although cooking may seem to be a laborious task at times, one must never leave the area for any reason other than an immediate emergency. Doing so may pose a potential hazard, especially in the event of an unexpected incident. when present at all times, allows the individual to respond appropriately in the event a potential incident arises. Common examples of incidents that may occur in the process of cooking involve the spontaneous ignition of oil related fires, burning of the organic matter involved in the cooking process, or overboiling and spillage of water or other fluids. Performing a cooking task over an open flame or electric stove, another potential hazard that may arise is the splashing of hot oil. In the example used in this demonstration, the students involved are shown to be in the process of cooking a portion of ground beef or pan sausage. When cooking meat or meat-related ingredients, it is not uncommon that oils present within the meat begin to relinquish themselves in the cooking process. However, it is known that oil does not like to mix with water in the immediate environment, whether that be on the surface of the pan or otherwise. As such, hot oil is ejected from the hot surface of the stove and may pose a potential risk to those involved in the cooking process. In order to prevent the incursion of potential injury to those involved, it is important that proper PPE is equipped, or the proper safety procedures followed. In this case, it is important that the students refrain from positioning their hand anywhere over the heated surface to prevent hot oil particulates from making contact with their skin. If proper safety procedures were taken into account when performing this cooking procedure, the students would be adamant to wear proper safety gloves or mittens to prevent potential injuries or burns.
Cleaning is a very important and somewhat overlooked aspect of kitchen safety. We have all left dishes in the sink for days, dreading the moment that we finally have to get up and clean them. This leads to a compounding problem where every time you cook, you end up with more dishes, which in turn makes you dread doing them even more so, and so the cycle continues. This may seem relatively harmless, but a growing tower of clutter, often built on an uneasy base, can easily tip and fall, resulting in an even bigger mess and potential hazardous condition if a hard ceramic were to happen to shatter. Even if an event like this were not to occur, leaving uneaten food on a surface for too long promotes the growth of molds. Many of these molds can lead to health issues and can contaminate other surfaces. To combat this cycle from starting, it can be helpful to break up the cleaning process into more manageable stages. The first of these stages is the pre-cleaning stage. In this stage, the focus is on removing hazards directly related to the cooking process. While you should have all of your cooking elements de-energized before this stage, it can sometimes slip your mind after you cook something particularly delicious. So, before moving on to the rest of the cleanup, inspect your equipment that you use to cook, and make sure that they are all off and, if appropriate, unplugged. For example, make sure that the stove burner is off. Taking this time can prevent accidental fires, and if you tend to forget your oven is on, it could also reduce your energy bill as well. After ensuring that all power sources are disconnected, it is now a good time to place any leftover food into an appropriate storage vessel. Remember, it is not recommended to put large amounts of hot food directly in the refrigerator. The FDA actually recommends breaking up large amounts of food into smaller portions so that they can cool faster, therefore preventing bacteria growth. The actual cleaning phase is pretty straightforward and obviously important. The goal of this phase is to eliminate biological safety hazards from the items that you use to both prepare and consume your food. This is often accomplished with the help of some form of soap, which works to break down the stuck-on mess. While this step is mostly common sense, there are ways that you can actually increase the likelihood of a safety-related event to happen. For instance, if you do not wash sharp objects like knives first, you run the risk of accidentally cutting yourself on them. Because of this, it should be considered best practice to wash, dry, and put away any sharp objects before moving on to the rest of the dishes. It is also important to note that many supplies that can be used for cleaning are not compatible with each other, and when mixed can form dangerous toxic chemicals. For example, when vinegar and bleach are mixed together, they react to form chlorine gas, which is deadly when inhaled. As you are cleaning your dishes, it is helpful to have a drying rack nearby to give them time to dry off. It is important not to stack dishes too high in this drying rack, as that can lead to the same problems as described earlier. Instead, once the rack is filled, take some time to dry off the dishes with a clean washcloth or hand towel. As you are drying them, you can put them away in their designated storage area. Having a well thought out location for your utensils is very important, as cluttery cabinets can lead to a mishap, where as soon as you open the door, you will be met with a cascade of dishes greeting you. These raining dishes could cause injury or become contaminated again should they hit a dirty surface such as the floor. They can even shatter if they are made as hard ceramic as mentioned earlier. Cleaning dishes after cooking and eating will always be a chore, but it never has to be unsafe.